Okay, so what we're going to do is divide up into groups of 3, right? So there's 13 people. So if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, that will go. Okay, so 1, 2. So you say the number following the last number, except if you hear 3, you'll say 1. No, this is not a good 4. Let's do it.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Okay, so the 1s go over here, 2s go over here, 3s go over here, 4s go over there. And then when you get to your group, introduce yourselves to your new teammates. Okay, you've all introduced yourselves. Okay, so we're going to do a little exercise. The mic that's the turn on. Maybe I'll turn down my. Okay, so I'll fix it while you're working. So you should introduce yourselves, what your name is, what's your background, what you hope to accomplish through the program. Okay, so spend like 1 minute on that. And then have one person be the scribe. It's going to take some notes. And then what I want you to do is tell the group what keeps you up at night, professionally. Okay, so nothing personal. This has to be all G-rated, everything. But what is a problem that you're currently experiencing as a student doing your research or doing your classes or whatever that you're struggling with? Okay, so keeping you up at night is just, eating, right? What I'd like you to do is share with each of your team members who are maybe in different disciplines that you're in, what are the kinds of problems you run into trying to accomplish the tasks for your particular discipline. Okay, so we'll take about 5 minutes. So it could be, is there a question about a data set that you're trying to answer? Is there, a Python system that you're trying to install and you don't really understand how it works? Whatever it is these days that you're kind of struggling with. Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. And then at the end of that time, we're going to start going through the introduction, and there'll be a point in this workshop where we'll have to wait for GitHub for like 5 minutes or 6 minutes to build the first version of your portfolio. And so when we get to that point that everyone's like waiting, then we'll go around the room and you'll get a chance to kind of talk to the group about what keeps you up at night. That make sense? Okay, so 5 minutes to tell your group members about what keeps you up. I haven't. My window is high. I'm just sharing my windows. Yeah. Oh. Because I noticed like some of this stuff is way down at the bottom and I can't see it. Even writing a single paragraph, it's not fine. That's a lot higher. Like that, I can do that. Right, that's a good, no, that's great. As long as there's not stuff way down. Because this is a huge. Great, perfect, thank you very much. Yep. I'm also satellite images. And recently I found out that there was an issue with data, which I didn't figure out when I was calling. I had to like go back and like fix that issue. I'm currently working on that issue. Okay, you guys got all your nightmares written down, summarized in some fashion. Okay, so we'll just put a pin in that for a few minutes, and let me go on to this little kind of slide thing. I don't like to lecture at all, but here's a couple minutes of slides. Let me think about how I'm gonna do it. Let me do it like this. This? No, I can only do it like this. So this is a workshop on professional portfolios, but I want to first talk about what professional personas are. Okay, and the way I define it is if someone maybe wants to hire you or whatever, and they go on Google or ChatGPT or whatever they're using, and they start typing in your name and add Hawaii or whatever to it, what are they going to find out? Right? So they may find your Facebook page, your LinkedIn profile, who knows what, your Snapchat, I don't know. Some of these things, there's all this stuff out there. So that's what, your identity online is going to look like. And so a professional portfolio is a way to kind of like manage the damage, of what Googling will do by providing something that hopefully will be the first thing that comes up when someone Googles on your name. And then they'll go there and they'll never have the urge to look anywhere else because there will be this beautifully organized site that provides everything they'd want to know about you professionally. Okay, and enables deep dives on, various things that you've accomplished. Maybe they go look at your LinkedIn profile as well, just to see, but basically they're done. Okay, and they're not scraping through your Facebook page to try to understand what you're working on. So it allows you to emphasize certain things, allows you to explain certain things in more detail than you could otherwise. So a lot of people say, why do I need a professional portfolio? I've got LinkedIn. And the answer is, I think you need both. Okay, so LinkedIn is awesome. You should totally have a LinkedIn profile. A lot of people find you that way. But there's limitations to what a LinkedIn profile can do. And it's also very boilerplate. So if you want to provide something that's more personalized and really emphasize your capabilities, you'd like something in addition to a LinkedIn profile. So on your professional portfolio, definitely you want to link to your LinkedIn profile. In your LinkedIn profile, you want to link back to your professional portfolio so people can easily go back and forth. Okay, so today we're going to learn about this system called TechFolios. It's a system I implemented, I don't know, 10 years ago. I was teaching software engineering and I wanted my students to create professional portfolios. So I had a whole workshop where I taught them to use WordPress to build their professional portfolio. And the results were just spectacularly bad. And I just thought, oh my God, I wouldn't, if I was an employer and I saw these, I'd be like, I'm not gonna hire that guy. All right, and it wasn't really their fault, actually. It was just that WordPress is completely unsuited. You know, the templates that are out there and the whole process of it doesn't build the kinds of sites that are good for technical people. And so I thought, how hard could this be? I'll just build my own version. It'll take me a weekend. Took me a little longer, but the goal of this site is to provide something that if you have a certain level of technical capability, so there's a little bit of barrier there. You have to know GitHub and some stuff, but otherwise you're basically just typing in regular text what your skills and abilities are, and then the site builds itself for you. You don't have to understand CSS, you don't have to understand HTML, you don't have to it deploys for free, you know, and so without spending any money and with just a little bit of kind of you know, learning, you can have a site that's pretty nice. Okay, so that was the goal. Let's look at some examples. The first example being the template, all right, which is actually the first site that you'll build today. It'll be the template for Malukiala. And it's got some sample projects, just a bunch of kind of template stuff so that when you start off, you've got a site and you basically edit it to be more and more reflective of who you actually are, okay? But then there's also Emma's site, okay? Which she's, and Emma, raise your hand. There's Emma, okay? So Emma started working on this workshop on Monday, okay? And here's her site as of Friday, and it's a pretty nice site, all right? Basically, she took the default, you know, template, filled it in with her details, and she has this nice looking site. All right. Then also we have Ariana, who actually, I have to confess, was working on this before Monday. And so her site actually has some customization. So she uses a slightly different color theme. She's kind of uses this papers and presentations sections rather than the default project sections. So she's done things to make it more suitable to someone who's a PhD student publishing papers and so forth. Okay, and then the other little thing she does is instead of the CV link linking to an HTML page with her CV stuff, the CV link actually links directly to a PDF file that has her CV. So these are examples of pretty simple customizations you can make to it if you want something different than what comes out of the box. All right, and then there's kamberjohnson.com. Katie is a scientist working in New York City, and she's got a whole bunch of other customizations. So if you want to, you know, see an example of a site that's more extensively customized than the template, you can look at this. And Katie allowed us to use her headshot for Malukia's sort of template pictures of her as well. She's my yeah. Okay. You know, they're mobile friendly. Of course, they should all be, but just to say they are. And the source code is available. So this is nice. So for all of these sites that you saw, well, not all the sites that you saw just now, because I didn't put them all in the gallery page, but there's a gallery page at the TechFolios site with a bunch of different portfolio links to portfolio repositories that show different kinds of customizations. So you're never really kind of like off on your own. You just kind of go find one that's similar to what you want, and then you can adapt it. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right. So in this workshop, you know, hopefully you have a sense for what the benefits of having a portfolio are. And then the next lecture, I'm going to talk about what makes a portfolio good, as there's good ones and bad ones. And then the final part is you're going to go off to the races trying to get started on building your own for the final hour, 45 minutes of the workshop. Okay. All right. So what's a high quality portfolio? Okay, so the unfortunate news is, as I discovered when I had my students building WordPress sites, is that actually a portfolio could make someone feel worse about you than they would have if they hadn't seen it at all. You know, I mean, it could go either way. So obviously you want to, you know, you want people to feel better about you, or at least more accurately understand what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. You want to convey your authentic self, right? If you misrepresent yourself and you get hired and they think you're one way and you're another way, that's a bad fit. You know, you won't be happy with it. So really what you want to do is create a portfolio that enables people to really understand what you can do and what you want to do, so that you know, the working relationship is positive. All right, and then I say steer conversation. So, you know, another thing that happens in interviews, right? There's an interviewer, they come in, they kind of look at you and they go, and they have this, you know, piece of paper with their stock questions that they ask all the interview people. Okay, and so one of the goals that I have for these things is that if they come in and they look at your portfolio and you've got this cool project that really, you know, strikes their fancy, they throw their boilerplate questions out the window, which are often hard questions that are difficult to answer. And instead they start asking you about this cool thing that you did. Okay, and the great thing about that is you're the world's expert on the cool thing that you did because you did it. And you can talk at length about it and you're excited about it. And all of a sudden that interview is going to go great, or much better, because instead of struggling to answer some math question, which is, you know, their canned, you know, way they use up an hour, instead they're engaged with something that you've done and they want to find out more about it. So it makes the whole experience a lot better for everybody. So what do we want in a high quality professional portfolio? If you have code, data, and you're able to provide an open source license for it, then obviously having access to those kind of repositories are great things to put in a portfolio. If you have essays, you know, kind of white papers or published papers, those are great things to put in a portfolio because people really want to see how you write and, even deeper, how you think. Okay, and your essays and your publications give people a sense for that. And then finally, projects, you know, so things that you've done in the past. And for my students in software engineering, they always freak out about this because they say, you know, I haven't built any code. I'm just a third semester student. Like, what are you expecting of me? You know, and what I say to them is that, you know, yeah, it's kind of nice to have projects that involve code if you're, you know, that's kind of doing data science or whatever. But a lot of times people have experiences in their background that demonstrates the kind of qualities an organization would find useful and maybe don't involve any coding at all. And my classic example was this person in my class who was, I think it was like a World of Warcraft guild master or something. And like basically she would organize 100 people to go off on raids to do, you know, galaxies or star. I don't even know. I've never played the game. I have no idea about it. But the point is, like, I was like, when I found out about what this person did, I said, I wish you were my boss. Like, you clearly have the ability to gather together a group of people with a variety of backgrounds, figure out what they're good at, organize a task. In this case, it was like taking over some other rival fleet or whatever it was, and deploying everybody and building these big Gantt charts of what has to be done and timing things, all this stuff. And I think she was like, I don't know, like, I don't know what you get to be, what it is to be at a high level in this game, but she was like super high level. And so that was a fantastic project. And she talked about her experiences and what she learned about management and motivation and, organization and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So when you're thinking about your project, and also I think like when I read that, I was so inspired by it. Now, this is so cool, and it was much more inspiring than if I heard about their Python library, that they built. So I encourage you when you're building your professional portfolio to at least think of something like that. Maybe you were in a death metal band, and you talk about that experience, working with other musicians and creative people and what comes up when you're trying to do a creative, being a creative organization and the kinds of things that come up or whatever it is. Like include one of those as a project and that'll make you stand out from other people and also give people the sense that of other kinds of, they call them soft skills. I hate that term, but things other than just computational thinking. And that's really important. Does that make sense? You guys all thinking about that? It's crazy. It's a crazy summer you spent doing. All right. Okay, so the other thing is usernames. So, and all these sites you have to build usernames. I don't think this applies. Well, it might. I don't know. But at least for my students in software engineering, sometimes they have these usernames which are not the best. Like they got them in high school or they whatever, and they thought they were really clever when they made them. But moving forward, at some point those can kind of be a liability, and so when be a little bit thoughtful about the usernames that you choose. Okay, and if you've chosen one that's not the best, you can sometimes change it. And being in school is a good time to come fiddle with that as part of your persona as well, right? Okay, so there's in TechFolios, there's a page that comes up initially, the home page, and there's a summary statement. So for things to be high quality, you want that to be a concise statement of your situation, where you want to head in future. Usually good to have at least 3 interests, give people a sense for what you, where you're at. And then links to your various social networks, include the ones, definitely you want to include email, LinkedIn, GitHub, Instagram, maybe, if you feel like that's a good source of things that are professionally appropriate and useful and, whatever else. Okay. Photo. Some people have a legitimate desire to not have their photo on the internet. So you want to put something else there other than a headshot. That's fine. What I would recommend against is like a fairly bad selfie. So at least have a friend hold the camera, or something when you're doing it. Okay. But today just take a selfie. That's what you have access to. And you can always change it later. Okay. That's my lecturing for the day. Thank goodness. So what we're going to do now is start to go through the TechFolios quick start. So hopefully everybody has a laptop. And what I'll be doing is going through it myself. So I've deleted my professional portfolio 15 minutes ago. I'm off. Good thing I'm not looking for a job. But I'm going to start off from scratch with building my own professional portfolio here. And then you guys should be typing along at the same time. Okay, so we'll do this all kind of synchronously. Except for Emma and Ariana, who did this earlier this week. So the first thing is you're going to join. How many people have already joined GitHub? Great, we can skip that step. Okay, so the second thing you're going to do is make a copy of the templates. So for that, you're going to click on that TechFolios template link. I'm going to put it in a different tab so that I can switch back and forth between the instructions. And so you'll be at a page like this. How many people are at this page now? Okay, good. And so you'll pull down that menu that says use this template and you'll click create a new repository. How many people are at this page? Get ready, you'll be like just doing this a lot for the next few minutes. Okay, so here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna type in your repository name, and you have to do this perfectly, okay? And one character mistake is gonna mess everything up. So what you do is you look at this owner side, which is, I'm sure, hopefully, should be your GitHub username. And then the name of the repository has to be exactly your username, Philip, in my case, Philip M. Johnson, .github.io. Okay, philipmjohnson.github.io, but you'll have a different one that corresponds to your username. All right, and then make sure it's public, and then do create repository. If you still mess up and type it wrong, we can fix it later, but you won't, ultimately it won't work unless this is named exactly this way. Okay, so after it's after you've done this templating process, I was going to say it's fork, but it's not fork. After you use this as a template, you should have a repository in your own account area on GitHub that's named with your username.github.io, and it looks like this. Everybody there? I'm losing you. Who's there? Okay, thank you. It's good. It's like a little bit of exercise, right? You do this 100 times a day, and one arm is stronger than the other. All right, so now let's go back to the instructions. We did the use this template. We created the repository. Verify your repository name. See, I'm like so on about that repository name, but it really, okay, so we're gonna fix the about section. So now you can go to this little gear icon over here. You can click it. And the only thing I'm gonna do is fix the website value. And I'm gonna carefully type in https:// and then the name of this repo that I just created, philipmjohnson.github.io. Okay, so do that. Don't do Philip M. Johnson, but do the thing that is for you, and then save changes. And why this is nice is that after you've done it, you've got a link to your actual deployed formatted website portfolio that's available here from the repo. So it's just a convenient little bookmark kind of thing. Everybody there? Wait, what about you? Yeah. Oh, you've been already doing it?
I mean, you asked before,
Yeah.
so I just leave that and leave that one.
Okay. How are you doing? You there? Raise your hand. No. All right. Okay, so now we have to do this annoying thing. Go to settings, actions, general. So annoying. Settings. So start up here. Settings. Then go to actions. That's on the left-hand side. Actions. And then when you click that, a little menu comes down and there's a general. You click that. So settings, actions, general. Then you go down to the bottom and you see workflow permissions because they're apparently afraid of some security thing. I don't understand it. It's annoying. But you want to click read and write permissions so that a GitHub action has the ability to actually write to your repository. Okay. Once you've done, click that read and write permissions, you click save. We all there? I'm just going to go with majority rules from now on. Okay. All right, so we set our workflow permissions. Okay, now it gets a little more fun. So now we're going to config the underscore config.yaml. And so what you'll do is you'll go back to the code page. So click on that code thing. By the way, all this stuff that you're doing right now, you'll never have to do again. So if you're thinking this is like a lot of shenanigans, I agree, but we're going to do them all now during this hour, and then, you know, it's all done, and then you're going to be actually working on your portfolio for the rest of your career. So it'll be a little better. So we'll go to this config YAML, and so you click on that link. So you're going to display this page. But what we actually want to do is edit this page. So there's a little pencil icon over here. So click that little pencil icon, and this brings up a little editor in your browser, right? And then what we're going to do is change 3 lines. So this first line, Malu Malu Kia, we're going to change to, in my case, Philip Johnson. But you know, you probably want to pick something different. And then on this next line, the URL, you're going to replace that TechFolios piece with your actual GitHub username, and therefore the site that this thing is. So in my case, it'll be https:/philipmjohnson.github.io. And then this last little piece, the base URL that says /template, just delete the /template so it's the empty string. Okay. Once you've done that, you go to this commit changes, and a little box comes up, and that all looks good. So you say, sure, commit changes. So you click the green button at the bottom, and bang. Okay. Now let's see what we do next. So we've edited for our changes. Oh, good. Okay, so now we're at the point. We go back here, click on this Actions tab, so that you get this page here. So what's happened is, if you're at the last workshop, right, we talked about the difference between, well, I won't go there, because that'll be a little misleading. But what's happened is we made a commit to this repository. Okay, when you said save, makes a commit, which is this special kind of term for Git. And GitHub is set up so that whenever there, or this repository, this TechFolio repository is set up such that whenever there is a commit made to your portfolio, it's going to run some build actions that are going to build a portfolio and deploy it so that you can actually see it in a browser as HTML. Okay, and this page, this actions page, is where you can go to see the progress as GitHub is magically kind of compiling your source code and building the HTML that can be displayed, publicly. All right, and this, wow, it took like no time at all. Okay, usually this has taken me like 5 or 6 minutes in the past, and I assumed it was going to take 5 or 6 minutes now, but it didn't take me hardly any time at all. But let's just take this time, in case it's taking longer for you, to go around and find out what keeps you up at night, and then we'll come back to this in a second. So let's start with this group here. Actually, you can kind of like even just put your laptops down a little bit, like 45-degree angle. Because you know why? When there's a laptop in front of you, when there's screens, you just want to look at them. So it's more fun to devote our full attention to this group, who's going to tell us what keeps them up at night.
One by one.
Yeah, with that. Briefly.
So I'm Hannah. I have 11-month-old daughter.
Oh God, that's a literal keep you up at night, right?
This is my first year, first semester grad student. So I'm
Good
doing
luck.
pretty data analytics and marketing data.
I had a small daughter when I was in graduate school, and people said, "Oh, that's really bad." It's the best. It's the best because you want to get done with graduate school as fast as possible. Right. So that was like such a motivation for me to just get done, get the heck out. So you'll be fine.
Audrey, I also said something in a very literal sense. It's my cats. No night demons doing zooms throughout the night.
Okay. Good, how about you?
So I'm Amina, I'm in computer science. These days, I'm working on a project, so last few weeks, I have been working on a website code. And after a while, I found that there was an issue.
Yeah.
I have to like go back and fix that.
Right, right, right.
So that's like keep me
I know.
like this.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you?
Safety students, so the scene is like a role model on the instance and it take like hours, so when it's just slipping down, it's not like just.
So do you wake up in the middle of the night to go check that your run is done?
Yeah, because I want to see the result.
Oh, you're so excited. You set my alarm for 3 a.m. Okay, good. How about you?
I'm a postdoc researcher at the Civil Center, and we're just starting a new project using the AI like ChatGPT to improve communications of civil research, and it's struggling with what kind of web page or API we're going to do.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I feel you.
I'm Emma. I'm a new atmospheric science grad student, and I don't know what my research is going to be, so I'm just up at night thinking about it.
There you go.
All possible.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't say I was up all night this week working on my TechFolio.
And basically like I have very long-term goals for my grad program, but like breaking them down into kind of weekly or monthly goals. Juice me up.
Yeah,
About it.
that's great that you're doing that. You know, figuring out how to like have a big goal, but then what are the little intermediate steps that I should start doing that. I feel a little late. Yeah, right. If you want to sleep well, don't do that. Okay.
Hey, I'm a PhD student in geography. I'm currently starting a new project, so I'm kind of trying to develop methodology for it.
That'll keep you up. Yeah. Sometimes in a good way, right? It could go either way. Like sometimes you're so excited, you sit in bed and you're thinking about like all the cool things, and other times it's like, oh my god, what am I gonna.
I'm Yasin. So I follow different sports, which is in different parts of the world, like in Europe or India or Bangladesh. So to see these games, I like.
Okay. So you got time zone issues that are keeping you up. All right.
I'm Yewei. I'm doing my PhD in science. Actually, we're doing like institute soil moisture monitoring in this Manoa Valley. And my advisor just say, hey, why not looking into some satellite remote sensing stuff and download it, and it kind of looks very different from our like institute measurement. So it's yeah, just kind of fun.
That would totally get like who's wrong here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Hi, I'm Gerardo. I'm a new PhD student in the atmospheric science department. Keep me up at night. Recently, I got feedback from a paper I submitted. I'm trying to make sense of the PEUs so that I'm going to certify the response.
Right.
We're going back to the document, editing, building, and back and forth.
Yeah. I just want to say, you know, I've been an academic for 33 years, and getting feedback on papers, whoa, even after 30 years, it's like an arrow to your heart, you know, like you work so hard, you feel like it's like so great, and then like, what, did you read the paper? You know, so, yeah.
My name is Tracy. I'm pursuing computer science, a master's in computer science, and I'm currently working on implementing a new user interface for the projectable in the Llama Lab. But the issue is that I'm currently developing it in using old data, and we're currently waiting for new data to come in, but we're not sure when that new data is expected to come in. So it's kind of hard to gauge how much code I might need to change.
Right, that's stressful. So you're writing all this code thinking, maybe this is a waste of time, right? It could be,
Yeah.
That'll keep you up. That'll keep you up.
Hi, I'm Sophia, PhD student in the marine biology program. I was recently at KMA and I was what keeps me up at night is kind of the disconnect between, empirical data that's available and the data that I can to parameterize all of it. How those are different and how much work is being sunk into collecting data that maybe is responsible for responding.
Yeah. Welcome to science.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I don't know, like, that's like, probably since Newton or whatever, like, scientists have been awake at night wondering, like, oh my God, this is not the right stuff, or whatever. Okay, well, gosh, I don't know what to recommend, like NyQuil or something stronger. But I hope you all sleep well tonight and all other nights. And at least you'll know that spread across Manoa Valley, there are another 12 people who are, maybe you should get on Discord and like say, hey, are you awake? All right, so if you open your laptop, hopefully you'll see that there's a green dot by your config.yaml. And so like scroll. So this is all info, if you go here, you can read about the build stuff, but I'm just let you read this later. Hopefully it didn't fail. Anybody's build failed? Everybody's build succeeded? Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings and pages. So click on the settings tab in the upper at the top right. It's right here. And that takes you to this page. And then click on the pages button, which is kind of halfway down. And that takes you to this page. And then you'll see there's this main. Okay, we want to change that to be GH pages. So if you click on it, it pulls up a menu that allows you to select a branch. So select the GH pages branch. And then click this save that's right next to it. Okay, and so once you've done that, there should be like a little blue thing at the top that says GitHub pages source saved, which is nice. And once that's done, you can go back to actions and you can see that since we did something, it's going to kick off a GitHub action called pages build and deployment. And theoretically, this doesn't take long. So we'll just pause for a second until you get a green check mark. Usually takes about a minute. Okay, so how many people have the green check mark? Okay, so if you basically there's a couple ways to get there. So I'll just show you. You could click on pages build and deployment, and that kind of tells you about that build task. And you can see under the deploy, there's a link to your professional portfolio. Okay, the other thing you could click that and hopefully see your new portfolio. The other thing you could do is go back to the code page, and there's that same link over there because we typed it in earlier. So the same link, a couple different places. So try clicking on that and see if you get a portfolio. How many people got a portfolio? Okay, how many people got a portfolio that is not for them? Right, okay, but good news, you got a portfolio, it's just not yours. Okay, so the whole rest of your life will be a process of editing these files to reflect you as opposed to Molly, aka my daughter, or at least the picture of my daughter. That's the stuff. All right, so how do we do that? Actually, let's see. So we get to here. And now, actually, what I'm going to do, I got to figure out where we are in the actual workshop. High quality portfolio, start initialization. Okay, great. So let's, at this point, take a 5-minute file break. And then when we get back, we're going to start the next section, which is actually editing this to be reflected in you. So 5 minutes.
Oh, man, yeah. Oh, it's very cool. So that would be. And then. I would be okay with this. So then Oh, interesting. Yeah. It's for the little part, you know, and so when that one is ready to yeah. Yeah, you're other era. Run your house. Yeah. I think it's so there's this year on the how long do you expect to be able to? Are you doing? Yeah, it's a long time.
Okay, so let's go on to the next section, TechFolios and GitPod. So what we'll do here is go through this section of the TechFolios manual, TechFolios Cloud Development. So if you get to this part of the workshop, click on this link, and it takes you to this page. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is go to, oh wait. Sorry, I jumped the gun. So go to this page, Folios and GitHub section 5, and then click on this link, TechFolios Cloud Development. I'm going to bring it up in a new tab just so that I can switch back and forth. And we're going to now learn how to use the cloud to develop our portfolio, which turned out to be a little more convenient than trying to install all the stuff on your laptop. So the first thing we need to do is go to https://github.io. And we'll want to continue with GitHub. And then that'll bring up some credentials. And you may or may not have to type stuff in at this point, but eventually you'll get to this workstations window. So I just raise your hand quickly when I know that when you're there, so I know that you're all there. Okay. And then you want to click on this new workspace. Okay. And the thing that you want to select is the repository that you just created. I'm going to see if I can get it to find it. Well, I'll type it in because I got a lot of them. Philip M. Johnson / Philip M. Johnson. A little nerve-wracking that it doesn't find it, but let's see. All right. Have you guys found your repository? All right, there's another way to do it. Let's see. So the other way is all right. So we want to go to gitpod.io. I don't know why it didn't / https://github.com/Philip M. Johnson /Philip M. Johnson .github.io. Okay. So gitpod.io / and then the URL to your repository. Okay. So when you do that, you should get this new workspace, and now it's set correctly. Everybody there? I don't know why I didn't do it. And now you can do continue. And eventually what's happening now is your browser is replaced by an editor called VS Code or Visual Studio Code. And what's also happening, which is pretty sweet, is that it's installing libraries. So what's happening is gitpod.io has created a virtual machine someplace in the cloud. All right, that virtual machine can be accessed through this terminal window. And in that virtual machine, it's looked at the configuration of this repository, found out what libraries are needed to build the site, and is going off and installing these libraries right now. Okay. So does everybody have a window that looks like this? Okay. So until a little blue line shows up at the bottom, and often this will take, you know, a minute or maybe even a couple minutes to finish. You just have to kind of chillax and wait for this. So now it's happened. So it's installed all these libraries, and at the bottom it's finished. So it's displaying a prompt, which includes info on the, you know, the workspace that you're in. Okay. So down there at the bottom, which is hard to see, we're now going to type for you, you know, just because it's not at the bottom there. We'll type bundle exec. Maybe what I should do is actually go back to here so you can see where we are. So if I go back here, we did this, we tried to do that, it sucked. Then we had to go figure out how to type in that stupid URL. But then we figured that out, and then we got to this, and now there's this blue line at the bottom indicating the libraries have been installed. So now we can type bundle exec Jekyll serve into that workspace window, just here, JEKYL. Or you could, you know, you could have also just cut and pasted this line right here. You don't want to type. All right, and then hit return. Okay, and then this little thing appears on the right saying the service is available on port 4000. Let's say make public, because why not? All right, and once you've done that, what you can do is you can hover over this server address line, which is 127.0.0.1:4000. It isn't really, I mean, in some sense, but you now, it should reveal this follow link. Okay, so if you click on that follow link, it now brings up a new tab in your browser, and look at that URL there. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, but if you go blah 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 .gitpod.io, okay, so it's magically create, and this is actually because you did the make public, you could actually put that into a chat channel in Discord, and someone else could click on it and actually see your, you know, kind of development version of your portfolio. It's kind of crazy if you think deeply about it. I mean, it's nice. All right. So this is now, you now have this development version of your portfolio that is running, plus you have an editor that allows you to make changes. Okay, and after making changes, you can simply kind of quit and restart to see your changes right away in this development version. And so you can go develop, and then eventually, after you've done that for a while, you can use the embedded Git library to push your change portfolio off to GitHub. Because right now we're not in GitHub land, we're in Gitpod land. Okay, so after we do this development for a while, we need to push our changes over to GitHub so that GitHub can build it, and then your actual official URL will have your changes. That makes sense from a workflow perspective? Okay, so now let's see what we want to do next. Got this thing running, there it is. Okay, so the basic sequence is you're going to make changes to the files. And then you're going to run bundle exec Jekyll serve to kind of compile those changes, rebuild the site. All right. And if you're already running the Jekyll system, you might have to type Control-C first to quit, and then you can do a Control-Key actually to retrieve the previous command and then run that. If there's a problem and the system fails, you have to debug it just like any other program. But once it builds successfully, then you can hover over this link to get the link, or you could just go back to that tab that's displayed and hit refresh, and it will show your changes. Okay, so you do that over and over and over until you can have it the way you want, and then finally, when you want to publish, you're going to commit your changes to GitHub, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's the way things work. Let's do an example. I'm going to add a new interest called community gardening. Okay, and so let's all add community gardening as a new. How many people like community gardening? Okay, everybody raise your hand to say for the next 5 minutes, you all like community gardening. Yeah, right. Okay, so what we're going to do to indicate that we all like community gardening is you're going to expand that underscore data directory and then click on bio.json. Okay, and then you can see in the interests, there's an interest field here. So this is kind of some basic biographical data about you, okay, that can be used. Some of it goes on the home page, some of it goes on the resume page. And for today, what we'll do is, what I'll say is just maybe kind of select, robotics or whatever you want. Hit Control C to copy it, Propeller V to paste it, and then I'm going to select text and hit backspace, community gardening, or whatever you want. I mean, you don't have to do community gardening. You could do another interest. Okay. All right, and we see down here it's been regenerating files, but I'm going to just say in general, don't trust it. Because sometimes it doesn't actually make all the changes you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type Control C, and now I get I'm back to the prompt down here, the little blue line, and then Control P. This is like the magic Unix, the command that I've typed the most in my entire career as a computer science. Control P, okay, to retrieve the previous thing that I entered, which was bundle exec check serve. But I have to type that on all, again, and then hit return. And now that rebuilds the system. I get this, open preview. So, I don't want to do that. That opens it as another, locally. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get rid of this. I'll click this. What I want to do is actually hover over this 127 to get the follow link, and I'll click here. And now you can see community gardening appears as an interest. All right. So the whole, process of developing a portfolio is just Michelle. Michelle, she can't hear me, so thank you. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, so that is that section. So let's move on to section 6. Which is, it's now about 3:06 for maybe about 25 minutes. What I'd like you to do is work on your portfolio. Okay, and so there's a lot of different ways to do it. You could just focus on that bio.json file to make your headshot, to make the interests correct. You could decide, I don't care about that so much. I want to create a project, or I want to, add an essay, whatever you want to work on. Play around with the theme. All of those things are possible. I don't care what you've done. But let's spend 25 minutes. If you run into problems, either Emma or Ariana or I will help you. And then after 25 minutes, we're going to look at your portfolios. Okay. All right. Have fun. See you at about 3:30. you guys doing? You need a couple more minutes? Are you ready to go for it? No, not ready to go for it. Okay, couple more minutes. Okay, so this is a lifelong process. So what I'm gonna suggest is, let's go to the chat window. Which I don't even know how I find it on my screen here. And type in that URL that hopefully you've made public to this meeting chat. Is I don't know where my chat window is. Hey, Michelle? You know where my chat window is? Oh, here. Yeah. Or maybe it's one of those. You got a couple more minutes to work while I figure out where the chat window is. Yeah, shit, something there. Oh, show chat. Okay. All right. So try paste your link in. No judgment here. And anyway, this chat window, it'll be disappear forever once we finish this Zoom. And anyway, you'll actually be bringing down your virtual machine in a couple seconds. So we'll work anyway. Let's just take a quick look at what folks have done.
I'm sure that they want to sign.
The meeting link on the side. Oh, here it is. Oh, do you guys get rid of your Zoom? Good job. We need Zoom. We're here. We're live. So tired of Zoom. Okay, I'm gonna wait till at least 5 people have put their links in. Because I don't want to like linger on any one person's portfolio. That'll be embarrassing. We'll just go quickly through them. I guess there would have been, there should have been, oh wait, I've got one. One is here, two, three. Three are here, waiting for two more. We got four, one more. Who can do it? Five. All right. Okay, so let's look at Yen Wei. Oh, holy
Yeah.
smoke! I didn't think that was gonna happen. Look at that.
No, yes.
Great. Little round of applause. Yen Wei. Good job, man. I didn't think you could do that in 20 minutes. That's pretty good. Okay. Amila. Wait, let me- Nice.
Yeah, they made this photo reason.
Yeah, some of this stuff looks good. Very well done. Amila. Good job. Okay. And Yang. That's a good profile photo. I like that. Good job. Okay. All right. Tracy. Oh, nice photo. Good job. Sustainability, astronomy, software engineering, UI, UX design. That's good to me. And Audrey, last but not least. Here you go. Wait a second. Seasonal to sub-seasonal atmospheric variability. In 30 seconds, what does that even mean?
I just kind of look at, like different patterns, so seasonally and then like, so interseasonally and then intraseasonally. So
Ah,
it's just like, yeah, two different scales.
right.
There's like for Hawaii, it's like the wet and dry season. Then within the wet season, like
Little
off
pieces.
season.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I learned some. Today I learned sub-seasonal variation. Okay, so that's awesome. Thank you. So there's one final thing that we need to do, okay, which is you've got all these changes, but they're just in Gitpod. You want to get them back to GitHub, right? So that they can be published. So to do that, what you want to do is go back to, oh, it timed out. Wait, let's see. Okay, let me open up again. You go back to your workspace. And then you should see this little, there should be a source control icon on the left-hand side. It's got a little dot over it. So click that. And put in a little message like, initial, version, something like that. Okay. And then what we want to do is we want to do a commit and push. So click the little arrow on the right side. And then you'll get this drop down, commit and push. And if all goes according to plan, it does it. Okay. So now so this means, it's completed. We don't get an error. So what you want to do now is in another browser window, somehow get yourself back to your repository. So I'm just going to type it in. You do what makes sense for you to get back to your repository page. And what we can see here is right here, this last commit, it says that remember I typed in initial version? So this now appears here, and it just happened just seconds ago. And that indicates that now my changes that I made at Gitpod now live over at GitHub, which is good. Okay. And then furthermore, if I go to the Actions tab, you can see initial version, right? This was that commit, and it ran the build, functions associated with rebuilding the repository. Now it's doing the deployment thing so that my URL will reflect my changes. So if you go to this page and you wait until pages build in deployment, has a green check mark. She'll take a little minute. Okay, so now, if I go, to wherever, go back to code, I can click on my link, and now these changes that I've been working on for the past 25 minutes are now part of my official professional portfolio. Any questions? Okay. So from now on, it gets a lot simpler, right? You just pull up GitPod, type in that pull selection workspace. Hopefully it'll now appear in the dropdown, make some changes, preview it at GitPod, because that can happen super fast. And then when you've got something you like, commit your changes to GitHub. That'll take a little bit longer, a couple of minutes rather than 5 seconds. But then your, updated version of your portfolio will be available. Okay. Any questions? Guess what? We're going to be done sooner today. We get out early.
Yeah.
All right. There's one final thing, though, I'd like to ask you to do. And that is to fill out a brief questionnaire. So here we are. We've done this cloud development. We've chosen our own adventure. We've done the demo. So on this last link, assess this workshop. If you could go to this participant survey, TechFolios workshop participant evaluation, and just take a few minutes to fill this out. And once you filled it out, you're free to go. Or stay and keep working on your portfolio if just want to get right back to it. You don't have to. And thank you very much. Patience. And when you're done, you're free to leave, yeah?
It took some while for patience.
You're still trying to commit? Holy smokes. Well, the good news is that if your laptop blew up right now, it's still safe at GitHub,
Outside.
so you could try later, for example, if you want to. You don't have to worry that, oh my God, all the changes are lost.
Can we link this to domain name that you will?
Yes, yeah, you can. So that's a GitHub level thing. So you create a file called CNAME, and then you create the domain name wherever you are, name sheet or whatever. So yes, it's just look at the instructions for any kind of GitHub pages site to be linked to.
I already done that, so you know that link this to an existing web page, can I do that?
Yeah. Okay. Get there. I didn't think about this. Okay. From Git. Git log, so this techniques. Let's click that thing change. Get there.